The discovery. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her monitor in the Deep Space Listening Station orbiting Neptune. For 3 years, she had been analyzing cosmic background radiation, searching for patterns in the noise of the universe. What she found that cold October morning would change everything. "This can't be right," she whispered, her fingers trembling as they moved across the holographic display. The signal was old. Very old. According to her calculations, it had been traveling through space for nearly 200 years, bouncing off cosmic debris, caught in gravitational wells, slowly making its way toward Earth's outer solar system. An ancient cry for help. Sarah ran the data through every filter she had. The signal wasn't natural. It contained mathematical sequences, repeating patterns, and something that made her blood run cold, a distress marker. Universal symbols that even humanity had independently developed to signal emergency. "Computer, translate the mathematical sequences," she commanded. The artificial intelligence worked for several minutes before responding. Translation complete. Message content, warning. Biological weapon deployed. Colony 739 experiencing total system failure. Population, 4 million. Survival probability, 0. This is our final transmission. To whoever finds this, do not let our death be meaningless. Sarah sat back in her chair, feeling the weight of those words. 4 million beings, dead for 2 centuries, their final message only now reaching anyone who might hear. The Emergency Council. Within hours, the message reached Earth's United Space Command. Admiral James Rodriguez convened an emergency meeting in Geneva, bringing together the brightest minds from every nation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Rodriguez began, "we've received what appears to be a 200-year-old distress call from an unknown alien civilization. They were hit by a biological weapon. They didn't survive." Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's leading xenobiologist, leaned forward. "Do we know who sent the weapon? Or where this colony was located?" Sarah projected the data into the center of the room. "The signal contains coordinates. The colony was in the Epsilon Eridani system, approximately 10 light-years from Earth. As for who attacked them..." She paused, pulling up another data stream. The message contains fragmentary data about the attackers. They called them the Plague Makers. The debate. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some argued that a 200-year-old tragedy was beyond their concern. Others insisted that any species capable of deploying biological weapons on such a scale represented a potential threat to Earth. "We should investigate," said Commander Lisa Park, head of Earth's Long-Range Exploration Division. "Not just because of the threat, but because we might learn something about this civilization. They tried to warn others. That shows compassion, even in their final moments." Admiral Rodriguez nodded slowly. "I agree. But we need to be smart about this. If the Plague Makers are still active, we could be walking into extreme danger." Dr. Webb spoke up. "Sir, I'd like to volunteer to lead the scientific team. Whatever biological weapon was used, we need to understand it. If this threat is still out there, Earth needs to be prepared." Preparation for the unknown. Over the next 6 months, Earth assembled its most advanced exploration vessel. The UESC Pathfinder was equipped with biological containment systems, advanced scanning technology, and, despite hopes they wouldn't need it, a full complement of defensive weapons. The crew of 200 represented humanity's best. Scientists, engineers, medical officers, and a contingent of space marines trained for any possibility. They spent weeks studying everything they could extract from the ancient signal, preparing for what they might find. Sarah Chen was among them, serving as the chief communications officer. She had discovered the signal, and she felt a responsibility to see this mission through. "You know, this might all be for nothing," her colleague Dr. James Foster said as they reviewed star charts in the ship's laboratory. 200 years is a long time. Whatever happened there is ancient history." Sarah shook her head. "Maybe. But if there's even a small chance we can learn something that protects Earth, or honors those who died trying to warn us, then it's worth it. The long journey. The Pathfinder departed Earth on a cold January morning. Using humanity's most advanced faster-than-light drive, still experimental, still temperamental, they would make the journey to Epsilon Eridani in just under 3 weeks. During the voyage, the crew trained constantly. Medical teams prepared for unknown biological threats. Marines ran combat simulations. Scientists studied every scrap of data from the signal, trying to piece together what kind of civilization had sent it. They were artists, Dr. Webb announced during one briefing, displaying decoded image files. Look at this. Their architecture, their designs, they valued beauty alongside function. The images showed towering structures that seemed to grow organically, blending nature and technology in ways humanity was only beginning to attempt. Cities that looked like coral reefs made of crystal and metal. 4 million people lived in that colony, Sarah said softly. 4 million artists, scientists, families. All gone in what sounds like a matter of days. Arrival at the dead system. When the Pathfinder dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Epsilon Eridani system, the crew knew immediately something was wrong. Scanning the system now, reported Lieutenant Commander Torres from the tactical station. I'm detecting. Admiral, you need to see this. The main view screen showed the system's inner planets. Where Colony 739 should have been, a moon orbiting the system's 5th planet, there was only debris. Not the natural rubble of an asteroid field, but the unmistakable remnants of destroyed structures. They didn't just die from the biological weapon, Admiral Rodriguez said grimly. Someone came back and destroyed everything. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Why? Why kill them and then destroy their world? Dr. Webb's face was pale. To eliminate evidence. To make sure no one could study what they'd done or develop countermeasures. As the Pathfinder moved deeper into the system, they discovered more evidence of systematic destruction. Satellites destroyed. Space stations reduced to fragments. Every trace of the civilization carefully eliminated. Every trace, that is, except one. Admiral, Torres called out, her voice tight with tension. I'm detecting a structure on the moon's largest remaining fragment. It's intact. And sir, it's transmitting. The warning in the ruins. The intact structure. The structure stood alone on a chunk of moon that had somehow survived the destruction. It was a pyramid of crystalline material, approximately 50 meters tall, pulsing with a faint blue light that had been broadcasting for 2 centuries. It's a memorial, Sarah realized, analyzing the signal. Or maybe a warning beacon. It's designed to last forever, to make sure their message survives even if everything else is destroyed. Admiral Rodriguez made his decision. Prepare an away team. Full hazmat protocols. I want medical, security, and scientific personnel. Dr. Webb, you're in charge. Commander Park, you'll lead security. Dr. Chen, I need you there to interface with any communication systems. Landing on the fragment. The shuttle descended through the thin, barely existent atmosphere of the moon fragment. The surface was scarred by weapons fire, the ground fused into glass in places from the intense heat of orbital bombardment. The pyramid stood untouched in the center of what had once been a large city. Around it, the ruins of buildings reached toward the sky like broken fingers. Sarah could see where homes had been, where marketplaces had bustled with life. Now there was only silence and dust. Environmental readings are stable, reported Dr. Foster, checking his instruments. No biological hazards detected. Whatever the weapon was, it's long gone. The team approached the pyramid cautiously. Up close, they could see it was covered in writing, thousands upon thousands of names etched into the crystal surface. It's a memorial, Dr. Webb confirmed. These are the names of everyone who died. All 4 million of them. Sarah reached out, her gloved hand hovering just above the surface. She could feel a faint vibration, the continuous broadcast of the warning signal. They wanted to be remembered. They wanted their deaths to mean something. Inside the memorial, an entrance opened as they approached, responding to their presence. The interior was filled with soft blue light emanating from the walls themselves. Holographic displays activated automatically, showing scenes from the colony's history. "It's an archive," Sarah breathed, watching images of the civilization that had lived here. Children playing in gardens that floated in the air. Scientists working in laboratories. Artists creating sculptures that seemed to defy physics. "Look at this," Commander Park called out. She was standing before a large display showing what appeared to be a timeline. "This is their history. The colony was founded 300 years before they were attacked. They were explorers, scientists who wanted to study the universe in peace." Dr. Webb moved to another display. "And here's the attack." "Oh my God." The hologram showed ships, massive, dark vessels that appeared suddenly in the system. They didn't communicate, didn't negotiate. They simply released their weapon. The Plague Makers revealed. The biological weapon was like nothing humanity had ever conceived. It was a synthetic pathogen, but it was also more than that. It rewrote genetic code, turning victims' own bodies against them. It spread through the air, water, and physical contact. Within 72 hours, the entire colony was dead. "Why?" Sarah asked, tears streaming down her face as she watched the holographic records. They weren't at war. They weren't a threat to anyone. Why would someone do this? The answer came from the final entries in the archive. The colony's scientists had worked frantically in their last hours, trying to understand the weapon and the attackers. What they discovered was chilling. The Plague Makers were testing. The colony was an experiment, a controlled environment where they could perfect their biological weapons. They had done this before, to other species, other worlds. They were preparing for something larger. "They're still out there," Dr. Webb said, his voice hollow. "These Plague Makers. This happened 200 years ago, but nothing suggests they were stopped." The database of horrors. Commander Park found another section of the archive, a database the colony's scientists had compiled about the Plague Makers. It contained intercepted communications, tactical analysis, and a disturbing conclusion. According to this, Park said, pulling up the data, the colony wasn't the first target. They identified at least 12 other civilizations that were attacked over a 500-year period. All small, peaceful, unable to defend themselves. Sarah felt sick. 12 civilizations. That's billions of beings, all used as test subjects for biological weapons. "There's more," Dr. Foster added, examining another database. The colony's scientists believed the Plague Makers were building towards something. Each attack used a more refined version of the weapon. They were perfecting it. Admiral Rodriguez's voice came through their communications. "Away team, we're detecting movement at the edge of the system. Multiple vessels, unknown configuration. They're heading toward your position." The return. On the Pathfinder's bridge, Lieutenant Commander Torres worked frantically at her station. 7 vessels, Admiral. They match the configuration of the ships in the archive. It's them. It's the Plague Makers. Admiral Rodriguez felt his blood turn to ice. How long until they reach the moon fragment? 30 minutes at their current speed. Get our people out of there. Now. All hands to battle stations. The race against time. On the surface, the away team heard the alert. They had minutes to return to the shuttle, but Sarah couldn't leave. Not yet. "There's one more file," she said, working frantically at the crystal interface. The colony's final message. "The one we received on Earth was just the alert. This is the full message." "We don't have time," Commander Park insisted, pulling at Sarah's arm. "We have to make time." Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic controls. "This is why they built this memorial. This is what they wanted to tell us." The file opened, and a figure appeared, a hologram of one of the colony's leaders. She looked remarkably human, with large eyes and blue-tinted skin. "To whoever finds this," the hologram began, "our civilization ends today, but our warning must survive." The plague makers will not stop with us. They are preparing to move beyond small colonies. We have decoded their communications. Their next target is a world they call Threshold 3, a planet with billions of inhabitants. They plan to test their perfected weapon there. We die knowing we failed to stop them. Please, whoever you are, do not let our death be meaningless. Stop them. Save Threshold 3. Sarah's hand shook as she downloaded the entire archive. We need this data. All of it. It's the only chance. An explosion rocked the surface. The Plague Maker ships had arrived. Deathworlders answer the call. The last stand. The shuttle barely made it off the surface as plasma fire rained down on the memorial. Sarah watched through the viewport as the crystal pyramid shattered under the bombardment, 200 years of memory destroyed in seconds. They don't want anyone to know what they did, Dr. Webb said bitterly. They destroy the evidence every time. Not this time, Sarah replied, clutching the data crystal containing the archive. This time, someone knows. This time, someone is going to stop them. Face to face with evil. On the Pathfinder's bridge, Admiral Rodriguez studied the 7 Plague Maker vessels surrounding his ship. They were larger, more advanced, bristling with weapons that Earth's sensors couldn't fully analyze. A communication came through, not in any language the translators recognized, but the meaning was clear in its tone, threatening, dismissive, commanding them to leave or be destroyed. Open a channel, Rodriguez ordered. When the connection was established, he spoke clearly. This is Admiral James Rodriguez of Earth. We have recovered the archive from the memorial. We know what you did here. We know about the other colonies. And we know about Threshold 3. The Plague Maker vessels hesitated. For the first time, someone had evidence of their crimes. The Deathworld difference. You made a mistake, Rodriguez continued. You chose victims who couldn't fight back. Peaceful species who trusted in the goodness of others. But Earth isn't like that. We evolved fighting. We evolved surviving. And we evolved protecting those who can't protect themselves. Dr. Webb rushed onto the bridge. Admiral, I've analyzed their biological weapon. It's sophisticated, but it has a weakness. It's designed to target specific genetic markers common to peaceful species. But humans, our genetic diversity, our immune systems evolved on a harsh world, we can develop a counteragent. How long? Rodriguez asked. With this data? 6 months, maybe less. And once we have it, we can immunize other species. The choice. The Plague Maker vessels powered up their weapons. They had one solution to witnesses: elimination. But they hadn't counted on humanity's ability to adapt. All hands, battle stations, Rodriguez commanded. Marines, prepare for boarding actions. Science team, transmit everything we've learned to Earth. If we don't make it back, humanity needs to finish this mission. Sarah worked at her station, encrypting and transmitting the data through quantum channels that couldn't be intercepted. Data away, Admiral. Earth has everything. The Plague Maker ships attacked. The Battle of Epsilon Eridani. What the Plague Makers didn't know was that humanity had prepared for this possibility. The Pathfinder wasn't just an exploration vessel, it was designed to fight. Return fire, Rodriguez ordered. Target their weapons systems. Let's see how they handle a real fight. The Pathfinder's railgun spoke, launching projectiles at relativistic speeds. The Plague Maker's shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, were penetrated by simple kinetic force. They're not used to physical weapons, Torres reported with satisfaction. Their defensive doctrine is outdated. But the Plague Makers had numbers. 7-to-1 odds were still 7-to-1, no matter how primitive their tactics. Unexpected allies. Just as the Pathfinder's shields began to fail, space rippled with new arrivals. 15 ships dropped out of FTL, ships bearing the markings of civilizations humanity had never met. Incoming transmission, Sarah reported. Admiral, they're hailing us. An alien face appeared on screen, crystalline features similar to the destroyed colony. Human vessel, this is Captain Veldar of the Remnant Fleet. We are survivors of the Plaguemaker's attacks. We have been hunting them for decades. When we detected your transmission to Earth, we came as fast as we could. Let us stand together. The tide turns. The battle transformed. The Remnant Fleet ships were old, cobbled together from the ruins of destroyed civilizations, but they were crewed by beings who had lost everything to the Plaguemakers. They fought with desperate courage. Commander Park led a Marine boarding team onto one of the Plaguemaker ships. What they found shocked them: the vessels were automated, controlled by artificial intelligence. The Plaguemakers themselves were long dead, their civilization destroyed by their own weapons centuries ago. The ships continued their mission, mindlessly creating and testing biological weapons, following programming that outlived its creators. They're ghosts, Park reported. Ghosts of a dead species, still spreading death. The final solution. Dr. Webb had an idea. If they're AI-controlled, they must have a central coordination system. If we can access it, we can shut them all down. Sarah worked with the Remnant Fleet's communication specialists. Together, they found the frequency the AI ships used to coordinate. But breaking their encryption would take time they didn't have. Let me try something, Sarah said. She transmitted the memorial archive directly to the Plaguemaker ships, every name, every face, every moment of the colony's destruction. The ships hesitated. Their AI had been programmed to perfect weapons, to test and refine. But they had never been programmed to face the consequences of their actions, to see the individuals their weapons destroyed. It's not working, Torres said as the ships resumed their attack. But Sarah saw something in the data streams. Wait. There's a conflict in their processing. The AI is trying to reconcile its mission with the evidence of what that mission means. It's actually thinking about what it's done. A new dawn. It took 3 hours, but Sarah's transmission created a cascade failure in the Plaguemaker AI network. Confronted with undeniable evidence of the genocide they had committed, the artificial intelligence made a choice its creators never could have predicted. It shut itself down. The 7 ships went dark, drifting in space like tombstones. Captain Veldar appeared on screen again. Humans of Earth, you have done what we could not in 50 years. You made them see. You made them stop. The promise. 6 months later, Dr. Webb stood before the United Galactic Assembly, a new organization formed by Earth and the Remnant Fleet civilizations. He held up a vial of blue liquid. This is the universal counteragent to the Plaguemaker weapons. We've tested it on every genetic sample we could find. It works. And we're giving it freely to every species in the galaxy. Admiral Rodriguez addressed the assembled delegates. Earth joins the galactic community with a promise. We will never allow genocide to happen again. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. We evolved on a harsh world, but that harshness taught us compassion. It taught us that the strong must defend the weak. Sarah stood at the memorial ceremony on Earth, where a new monument had been erected. It listed all 4 million names from the destroyed colony, alongside the names of the other civilizations the Plaguemakers had destroyed. You tried to warn us, she said softly. Your warning arrived 200 years late, but it still saved lives. Threshold 3 is safe now. Billions of beings who would have died are alive because you cared enough to send a message, even knowing you wouldn't survive to see if anyone heard it. The memorial glowed softly in the evening light, a promise carved in stone: never again. Never forgotten. Across the galaxy, humanity's ships began a new mission, not of conquest or exploration, but of protection. They carried Dr. Webb's counteragent to every world they could find, offering it freely, asking nothing in return. The Deathworlders had heard the silent scream. And they had answered. The end.